Michael Jackson remains one of music history's most legendary figures, yet his life has never been portrayed on screen by someone carrying his own bloodline.
I never saw my dad perform live. For me, this is the closest I will ever get to seeing my father.
Everything changed when Jaafar Jackson was chosen to portray the King of Pop, beginning an extraordinary journey of complete physical transformation.
It changed everything for me in the sense of being able to feel Michael's spirit.
Emotional discovery and a billion-dollar box office phenomenon. This is the story of Jaafar and how he ultimately became the man the world knows today.
I wanted to have a place that I could create everything.
A legacy begins in silence. Jaafar Jeremiah Jackson was born on July 25, 1996, in Los Angeles, the second son of Jermaine Jackson and Alejandra Genevieve Oaziaza. His mother had previously shared a relationship with Randy Jackson, Jermaine's brother, making Jaafar's extended family history unusually interconnected, even by Jackson standards. He was raised at Havenhurst, the family's protected compound in Encino, where rehearsal spaces and recording studios felt as normal as kitchens and bedrooms. Unlike his uncles, whose childhoods had been shaped by exhausting rehearsal routines from an early age, Jaafar's upbringing was not completely built around performing. His father, Jermaine, kept musical instruments throughout the house, and music surrounded everyday life, but nobody was pushing him toward the stage. He attended school, spent time alongside his siblings, and grew up mostly beyond the public spotlight. Here is our special topic. In this photograph, we see a smiling Jaafar Jackson taking an incredible selfie while dressed in a colorful jacket. Following his work on the Michael Jackson biopic, he has maintained an extremely demanding schedule. Some fans believe he could finally be enjoying a much-needed break while considering his next move. Others suspect he is still rehearsing some of Michael Jackson's most difficult dance routines, which audiences might eventually witness in the future. What do you think? Share your opinion in the comments below. A musical household. At Havenhurst, music was never a scheduled activity. It existed everywhere. Jermaine, who had played bass and performed vocals beside his brothers during the Jackson 5 years, filled the home with instruments and recordings. Family gatherings frequently transformed into spontaneous performances, with harmonies unfolding over ordinary dinner conversations. Jaafar naturally moved toward piano and singing at an early age, learning technique through constant exposure rather than strict formal lessons. Despite that environment, his parents never pressured him into becoming a professional musician as a child. They appeared deeply aware of everything the previous generation had sacrificed for fame. Jaafar was given the freedom to grow at his own pace, developing a connection with music that felt instinctive instead of forced. The talent was obviously there. Whether he decided to use it remained entirely his choice. Stepping into music, Jaafar began releasing his own material in 2019. His debut single, Got Me Singing, was a smooth R&B song driven by a clean bass line and layered vocal harmonies. His voice carried an unmistakable Jackson family quality, a breathy warmth that never sounded artificially practiced. He followed it with Love Frequency and several additional songs leaning toward traditional soul arrangements rather than modern pop production. The releases remained relatively small. They did not dominate charts or generate enormous headlines, and Jaafar appeared completely comfortable with that. He performed in intimate venues, continued writing, and approached music as a long-term journey instead of a massive promotional launch. Industry observers paying close attention noticed someone more interested in musicianship than visibility. He was not desperately chasing fame. He was constructing a foundation, one song at a time. The biopic gets greenlit. In early 2022, producer Graham King, who had guided Bohemian Rhapsody toward enormous commercial and award success, confirmed that he had secured the rights to produce a Michael Jackson biopic. Lionsgate would distribute it, while the Jackson estate agreed to cooperate, providing access to Michael's music catalog, an essential requirement for any serious portrayal of his life. Immediately, two realities became obvious. First, the movie would become a major cultural event. The Bohemian Rhapsody formula had already proven that audiences would turn out in massive numbers for music biopics supported by an artist's estate. Second, finding the right actor would be brutal. Michael Jackson's face, voice, and physical movements were recognized by billions of people across generations. Whoever accepted the role would need to sing, dance through multiple eras, and carry the emotional burden of an extraordinarily complicated life. The global search. Director Antoine Fuqua and his casting team spent months examining submissions. They considered professional actors, stage performers, Michael Jackson impersonators, and total unknowns. Open auditions in London and Los Angeles attracted enormous crowds, with lines reportedly stretching around blocks in both cities. The central problem soon became impossible to ignore. Most candidates could master only one part of the challenge. Some possessed extraordinary dance training but lacked the necessary vocal ability. Others could imitate the singing voice but failed to move with enough precision. The impersonators, although technically convincing, often produced performances that seemed rehearsed and external. Fuqua needed someone capable of finding the human being hidden beneath the icon, an actor who could portray vulnerability beside brilliance. As the search continued without an obvious solution, pressure began closing around the production schedule. Jaafar is cast. Jaafar Jackson's audition reached producers after months of searching. Multiple reports described the room becoming completely silent as they watched his tape. He shares roughly a quarter of his genetic material with his legendary uncle, and the facial similarities, particularly around his eyes and jawline, were immediately visible. But resemblance alone did not win him the role. His physical language had been absorbed throughout a lifetime spent inside Jackson family environments, while his singing voice carried a natural tone that echoed Michael without sounding forced. On January 30th, 2023, the official announcement finally arrived. Fuqua told the press that Jaafar embodied Michael in a way extending far beyond imitation. Jaafar posted a childhood photograph of himself wearing Michael's signature style, alongside a promise that he would honor his uncle's legacy. Preparation begins. Before learning a single choreographed routine, Jaafar spent weeks speaking with people who had personally known Michael. He examined interview transcripts, private writings, and archival footage capturing Michael during unguarded moments between performances and public appearances. The objective was to understand the human being before attempting to recreate the entertainer. Production sources claimed Jaafar approached this period with a level of seriousness that surprised even people who had worked around the family for decades. He withdrew from parts of his own social life during this phase, creating enough distance to focus entirely on the role. Movement and voice would be added later. First, he needed to understand the man. That research period became the foundation beneath everything that followed throughout months of rehearsals and filming. Learning the choreography. Michael Jackson's choreography was a physical language built from instinct and precision, not simply a collection of memorized steps. Jaafar trained with choreographers connected to Michael's touring history, including Rich and Tone Talladega, who had collaborated with Michael during the History era. They dismantled the moonwalk into its smallest mechanical details: the flat supporting foot, the sliding toe, and the exact instant of weight transfer required to create the illusion of floating backward. Jaafar repeated individual spins relentlessly, learning to hold his center position while completing the correct number of rotations. He trained himself to isolate separate parts of his body in the exact patterns Michael had used, drilling chest pops, neck snaps, and sharp arm locks. The choreographers pushed him beyond simple accuracy, searching for something more instinctive and alive. Vocal work. Jaafar's natural register was lower than Michael's. Michael Jackson's speaking voice was gentle and breathy, while his singing shifted between a rough chest register.
I wanted to have a place that I could create everything.
Jaafar worked
closely with a dialect coach to reposition the way he spoke. For the musical performances, he listened to isolated vocal stems taken directly from Michael's original recordings, searching for details that polished final mixes had buried. The slight tension inside a sustained note, the sudden breath before a line, and the way Michael's rhythmic phrasing sometimes slipped just behind the beat before catching it again. Jaafar sang beside those recordings for countless hours, trying to capture not only the correct pitch, but the emotion buried inside every syllable. The objective was never perfect duplication. He needed to enter the same emotional world where those vocal decisions had originally been born. Archival immersion. Jaafar's preparation expanded into an independent study of Michael's entire life across the decades covered in the movie. His walls disappeared beneath photographs from the off-the-wall, thriller, and bad eras. He watched concert footage from different tours and cities, observing how Michael's energy changed depending on the venue and the audience standing before him. Interview footage was studied at reduced speed as Jaafar cataloged tiny facial expressions and unconscious physical habits. Antoine Fuqua organized table reads that approached the screenplay as serious dramatic material rather than simply another music film script, challenging the cast to uncover the hidden meaning beneath every scene. The preparation became relentless and completely immersive. By the time cameras finally started rolling, Jaafar had spent months buried inside the material, moving far beyond simple imitation towards something deeper. Makeup and costume tests. The first complete transformation required Jaafar to remain seated for hours while artists applied prosthetics, positioned wigs, and refined countless visual details. Makeup department head Bill Corso, an Oscar-winning artist, led the team responsible for transforming Jaafar through the different periods portrayed on screen. The process relied on custom-designed pieces created to complement Jaafar's natural bone structure instead of covering it. Because his face already shared noticeable similarities with Michael's, the prosthetics could remain far more subtle than they would have been on another performer. When the final transformation was completed and Jaafar stepped forward in costume for the first time, crew members reportedly reacted visibly. That transformation soon became an everyday ritual. Throughout production, Jaafar spent hours in the makeup chair before filming could even begin. Production begins. Principal photography started beneath extraordinary security. Everyone involved understood that a single leaked photograph could spread worldwide within minutes and shape public expectations long before the first official trailer appeared. Despite those precautions, one image escaped. It showed Jaafar fully transformed and caught in the middle of a performance recreating the staging of the dangerous era. The photograph exploded across the internet. Reactions ranged from disbelief over the physical resemblance to enormous anticipation for the finished movie. On set, Jaafar entered a gigantic soundstage transformed into a stadium, with hundreds of extras filling the floor as a simulated audience. The production team had reconstructed the staging, lighting, and atmosphere of Michael's late 1980s performances with obsessive precision. Filming had officially started, and the true scale of the challenge was finally impossible to ignore. If you have made it this far, hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel. Depicting the physical toll. The screenplay focused heavily on Michael's explosive rise throughout the 1980s, eventually reaching the Bad World Tour. Within that period, the movie confronted the severe burns he suffered during the filming of a 1984 Pepsi commercial, an accident that caused second- and third-degree burns to his scalp. The film also explored the brutal physical demands of the Bad Tour, which stretched across 123 concerts in 15 countries and forced Michael to perform at maximum intensity night after night. Jaafar filmed scenes showing Michael receiving treatment for his injuries and struggling with the exhaustion created by the relentless touring schedule. These sequences were designed to expose the physical price behind his obsessive commitment to performance. The scenes were rooted in documented events from 1984 through 1989, the central period explored by the film. The soundtrack approach. Instead of choosing only between Michael Jackson's original recordings and Jaafar's live vocals, the production developed a hybrid method. Jaafar performed live during filming, with his raw voice captured directly on set. During post-production, those performances were blended with isolated stems from Michael's original recordings, allowing one voice to transition into the other within the same sequence. The technique demanded extraordinary precision. Jaafar had to match Michael's phrasing, breathing, and timing almost perfectly. Inside the recording studio, he sang beside isolated vocal tracks, layering his performance directly against his uncle's voice. Audio engineers involved in the movie described the process as technically complex. The ultimate objective was to create complete vocal continuity, leaving audiences unable to recognize the exact moment when Jaafar disappeared and Michael began. The finished performances were designed to feel like one uninterrupted voice, working with Michael's former collaborators. Throughout production, Jaafar was surrounded by people who had personally worked beside Michael. Choreographers Rich and Tone Telegega, who had performed with him, remained involved on set, while musicians and technical crew members from different tours offered constant guidance. They provided details no screenplay, documentary, or rehearsal footage could possibly contain. One musician remembered the exact finger snap count Michael used before particular songs. A backing vocalist demonstrated the subtle way he tilted his head while listening to a mix. Jaafar collected these tiny fragments and quietly added them to the performance, incorporating details too small to appear in biographies. Some veterans had initially been skeptical about the entire project. Reports suggested that working directly beside Jaafar dramatically changed their expectations of what the movie might become. Public reaction to leaks. When the first official production images and leaked photograph reached the internet, the response was immediate and explosive. Many viewers could not believe the resemblance, with some initially insisting that the pictures had to be old archival images of Michael himself. Social media debates about the movie's potential continued for weeks. Jaafar, meanwhile, remained largely absent from public platforms, concentrating on production rather than the noise surrounding it. Fuqua later suggested that a less grounded performer might have been overwhelmed by the intensity of that pre-release attention. Whatever the source of the leaks, their impact was undeniable. The project was no longer simply an announcement. The public felt it had already seen a glimpse of something extraordinary, and now everyone wanted the full picture. Wrapping production. When filming finally ended, Jaafar faced the difficult process of returning to his own identity after spending more than a year living inside another person's emotional and physical language. A rap gathering brought the cast and crew together, where Fuqua thanked the production team and acknowledged Jaafar's extraordinary commitment. Several cast members later spoke about the strange adjustment of returning to ordinary conversations after spending months interacting with him as Michael. Jaafar emptied his trailer, removing the photographs and research material that had covered its walls. In limited interviews after production, he described the experience as both the most difficult challenge of his life and the most meaningful. Through the work, he said, he had come to understand his uncle more intimately than he ever had while Michael was alive. Marketing and trailers. Lionsgate's marketing campaign began with a teaser almost completely without dialogue. A shadowed figure appeared beneath stage lights. The sound of a glove tightening broke the silence. The opening bass notes of Billie Jean followed. Then everything cut to black, leaving only the title. The teaser accumulated tens of millions of views within its first day, triggering intensely emotional reactions from fans who described crying after seeing Michael's image seemingly return to the screen. The studio released material carefully. Full trailers were initially withheld, and Jaafar's public appearances remained limited. As the premiere approached, however, the campaign widened. Jaafar participated in selected interviews while the studio organized screenings for early audiences. The strategy allowed anticipation to grow steadily across several months. Release. The movie's journey toward theaters faced delays. Originally scheduled for an earlier release window, Michael was pushed back while post-production continued, particularly on the complex vocal blending and visual effects. The release was eventually scheduled for April 2026. The world premiere took place in Berlin on April 10th, followed by the United States theatrical release on April 24th. By the time the Berlin premiere arrived, anticipation had been building for more than 3 years since Jaafar's casting announcement. The event brought members of the Jackson family together in coordinated formal clothing, with Jermaine Jackson accompanying his son along the carpet. Early reactions from the Berlin audience were strongly positive, with much of the praise centered on Jaafar's performance.